This is my 12th year as an educator, and I have to say, this is not the path I always thought I would follow. I originally got into teaching because I wanted to coach basketball. Growing up as a basketball player, that seemed like the fun job to me. And even though the coaching didn't stick, the teaching did. And I'm happy to say that I absolutely love my job. I teach one of the coolest subjects. I teach graphic design to high school students. Prior to coming to Gwinnett, I was previously at a private school where students, they just did the work, and parents were very involved. I didn't have to do a whole lot to get them motivated. I found that's not always the case in the public school system. After about 3 months in Gwinnett, I'll be honest, I was ready to quit my job. I went to a veteran colleague and I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not cut out for this. I don't know what to do. Please help me. But motivating the students, it wasn't my only obstacle. I was going through a divorce that first year in Gwinnett. I felt like I was struggling in everything. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, but my students, they didn't see me that way. They saw me as a better version of myself. Someone who was fun and outgoing. Someone who loved them, who supported them, who wanted to help them. They still see me that way, which is why I'm still doing what I'm doing. It's their love and support that keeps me going and makes me realize how important my job truly is. So after those first 3 months, I started to reflect on my own education, which is where I would like us to start today. Before we dive in, I want you to think about your education. What did it look like? How did it make you feel? For me, it felt stiff. It felt static. Teachers lectured, students took notes, ultimately to pass our exams. The only hands-on class I really remembered was typing. School wasn't very exciting, but I was good at it. I knew what the expectation was, I knew what to do, and at the end of the day, I did what I needed to make good grades. Because for me, that was the ultimate end goal. But as we think about the society that we live in today, what do we want for our future generations? Better opportunities. And how do we provide better opportunities? Well, we have to be willing to change, to provide a better educational experience for all, so that they can find their own path and their own journey. You know, students, they are attached to their cell phones and social media. Let's be honest, we all are. I'm sure many of us have seen the show on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. If you haven't seen the show, it focuses around the creators of the platform and how they've designed it to keep us connected, to have us keep coming back. Studies have actually shown that social media can isolate us and connect us at the same time. I know for me, it made me much more aware of my cell phone usage. And now every time I get a notification, I can feel my phone pulling me back in. The ability to endlessly scroll has left our students with the problem of not knowing when to stop. So how do I get them to put the phone down? To focus on me, on the class, on their learning. For me, it begins with empathy and building relationships. To help my students get focused and stay focused, I need to understand who they are, what they experience when they go home, what they carry with them as they walk through my door. Once again, I reflected on my own experiences as a kid. At age 11, I lost my mother to breast cancer. That was a tough experience. What teachers and other students didn't realize is what I went home to for 3 years. A loving and comforting mother who was always waiting for me to arrive home had changed. I watched what this disease did to her, and every time I went home, I was reminded of that. But school, it was an escape. It was a place filled with the love and the support of my teachers. It was a place where I could have fun. Perfect example today. One of my senior students, I'm going to refer to him as KG today. I'll never forget KG's story because his first class that he takes with me, his first graphic design class as a freshman, he comes up to me at the end and he says, "Excuse me, I don't like art. I don't want to be in this class." "Okay," I said, "that's understandable, but this isn't your typical art class. You give me 1 week, let's see how it goes, and if you feel the same way, I'll have you move to something you're more interested in." What I didn't know at the time is that KG, he's homeless. He currently lives in an extended stay motel. He wears the same clothes to school every day. Home and family life, they're not great. So I asked myself, how do I help this young man during this tough time in his life? How do I help him to find the fun in learning to escape his situation? Equity. I'll never forget the first time that I saw my classroom in Gwinnett. I was gifted with this. A beautiful lab full of Mac desktop computers, and additionally, a workspace with about $100,000 worth of printing equipment. Now, looking at this space, I was excited about the possibilities, but I quickly realized the tough tasks that I had been given. I needed to figure out how to operate and troubleshoot several different types of printers: large format, UV, embroidery, and many more. If you can imagine, think of a home or office printer or copier. Why isn't it connecting? Why is the ink smeared? Where's the paper jam? You bang on it out of frustration, hoping that you can get it to work. And some, they may have given up with frustration. But what I learned from that veteran teacher who once talked me off the ledge of quitting altogether is that hands-on, authentic learning is what draws a student in. These printers I have, they're going to help engage my students. They're going to help make learning fun again. They're going to bridge the gap and provide access and experience to tools that some of my students would never have without public education. My first year, I told my students, pick up a piece of equipment and master it. My second year, I said, what are we going to do? The world, it's shut down. The pandemic hit. You can imagine my feeling of hopelessness, but not my students. They rose to the occasion. They said, "Miss Wright, we've got this big empty room full of all these printers that we now know how to operate. Let's create a brand for a print shop." So that's what we did. We developed the mission and the vision. We came up with the color scheme, the typeface, and the logo. Students were so excited, they wanted to come to school on Saturday so that we could print and assemble our print shop. It was amazing. We printed the wall cling for the storefront, the wall vinyl for behind the cashier, the floor stickers for social distancing. We printed it all. We successfully built a print shop. Now, the first time that we printed one of KG's designs, we printed it as a sticker. The smile on his face, the accomplishment that he felt, he was so proud. He loved working with these big industrial printers and watching the process unfold. After that first week, he was hooked. He never looked back. He found something that made him passionate, that motivated him, that got him excited. All because my class, it offered an equitable opportunity. So at this point, we start to transition back to a new school year, and we're in concurrent teaching. If you don't know what that means, some students are still at home learning online, and other students are starting to come back into the classroom, and I'm teaching them at the same time. So I said to my students, okay, we've got this print shop. We need merchandise. We're gonna have our grand opening in January. I figured out that the final piece to the puzzle, the final thing we needed to make learning fun, was to figure out what they were interested in, what they were passionate about, what motivated them. So I came up with this idea. They would each create their own personal brand. I was inspired by Etsy, and there's a store in Atlanta. It's called The Beehive. We would display local artist brands while taking custom orders. And I said to the students, I want you to start by thinking about what makes you unique? What makes you different? What are you passionate about? And I want you to start by developing the mission and the vision. And then from there, you've got a couple of requirements. You need to come up with at least 3 different products. You need to print and assemble them, package and tag them, and you've got to calculate the cost and the profit. They blew me out of the water. They came up with it all: t-shirts, hats, bags, keychains, water bottles. I was so inspired. But it didn't stop there. They said, Miss Wright, why don't we hold an artisan market? We can each have our own booth, design our booth around our brand. We can pass out merchandise, and maybe we can even pass out business cards. And then we can take custom orders. Are you starting to feel the fun? The energy? The excitement? It was real, it was beautiful. With the help of my students, we mastered these machines. I somehow found a way to pour back into them what they poured into me all of these years. So, what's your takeaway? What do you do with this? What's your goal? My principal once mentioned this idea. It's all about moonshot thinking. Aim for the ultimate goal. Don't worry about the limitations, the problems that you don't know how to solve, or the printers you don't know how to operate. Collaborate. Make your peers, make your mentees, and your community a part of the process. Because learning, it looks different for each and every one of us. Your key is to find your why. As for mine, you're looking at him. KG is my why. At 19 years old, he will graduate from high school. He has completed the graphic design program, That's a 3-year pathway. He passed his graphic design certification exam. That is an industry certification. And he is currently an intern at our print shop, our school-based enterprise. Our goal for him is to find him a job at a print shop in our local area. He is my why. And I'm so lucky because I have 110 other whys. Find your why and watch the fun unfold. Thank you.